it's got a little accident there, eh? Little accident?
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
Cat.
Oh my god.
Pussycats. Now, pussycats are not just cute little fluff balls that run around your house. In this house, aside from the hairless apes, they are the apex predator. You gotta watch out for them sometimes. Guess what we're talking about?
Kung Fu!
Ta-ta-ta.
Are we talking about airplanes?
Nope. We're talking about airplanes.
What?
Learning stuff.
Rizky.
Tell me what you know about the first planes.
They were made of wood and they had 4 wings.
Yeah, how did they work?
Well, they worked because they had wings. Same if they also had like some sticks that were holding it together, like some big bamboo or something.
Like a kite. Like a kite.
It was like a kite.
Yeah.
They also had an engine
Important to have an engine. Why?
because it doesn't run if it doesn't have an engine.
Well, I mean, the engine creates a thrust.
Now, the basic point of an airplane gaining flight is that you have thrust, which is pushing the thing forward. Now, you've got air pressure in the front here, and you need to balance that out. And what happens is that the air pressure, what you want is when you have high pressure under here, underneath the wing, then it'll create lift up this way. And if you don't, and then you'll have low pressure, and that's on top of the wing, going over the wing. And out the back, you've got the drag, which is pulling it down, and the force of gravity, which is pulling the plane down. So basically, what you want is you want to create lift underneath the wing to force the airplane up.
To the air. And so, it can't be the first airplanes had to be quite light. And also the engine had to be quite light so that you don't have it forcing it down to the ground and allows it to lift up into the air. Now, as airplanes became better and had better engines and many different principles, they were able to have steel frames and larger, heavier engines. And because that would still get it up into the air. Now, the earliest jet engines were made during World War II. What were some of the problems, you think, of the jet engine when they first stuck it on an airplane? There were a lot of problems.
Maybe because it was overheating.
Ah, hey, you're right. Because the basic principle of a jet engine is that air gets thrust in and ignites with fuel. Okay, and it becomes extremely hot, and that creates a kind of a thrust for the airplane, right? So heat is a huge problem with early jet engines, because you didn't want to melt it now, did you? If you melt it, ain't no good, is it? Nay. So, yes, overheating. Anything else? Problem with the jet engine?
Maybe because it might start actually giving it problems and you start kind of shaking the plane.
No, you're onto something there. Because, I mean, when you first stuck a jet engine on a normal plane, you're dealing with an incredible amount of power suddenly. So it creates all kinds of difficulties in balancing it out, you know? And it's all the subtleties of balancing in the air and balancing the weight of the aircraft that were very, very key. And they had to overcome that problem with the early jet engines. Okay, what about flying on an airplane? What's it like to fly on an airplane?
Fun.
Fun? More fun than riding a horse? Which do you think is safer, taking an airplane or riding a horse?
Both sound pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I guess a horse because there is a chance that the plane might crash.
Right. What if the horse crashes? Do horses ever crash? Just planes.
Maybe.
What should you do if you're in a plane crash? Your plane starts to crash. That's it. Your plane's gonna crash. What should you do? Ha! Now you should know this, because they tell you it on the airplane, don't they? That's the first thing they do, is they give you all these kind of blah, blah, blah instructions. What should you do?
Well, you should follow the guidebook.
Yeah, what does the guidebook say?
Well, first of all, it says if the masks fall down from you, you should wear them, and also take off your mask if you're wearing any.
Oh, I see. COVID thingy. If you're wearing a COVID mask, you should take it off and put on the other mask. Right. Now, here's a killer question. Why would you do that? Why would you put a mask on?
Because oxygen supplies might start slowing down or lack of oxygen.
Yeah, because the cabin could become depressurized or something like that, which is very important that you have to have normal kind of sea level type conditions when you're on an airplane. Okay, you don't want the normal kind of pressure and oxygen levels that you have at a very high altitude. Right, so what else should you do?
Well, also, if you are managed to survive the plane crash, and if you're lucky enough, if you survive, you might actually go on a stranded island.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, if you crash into the sea, then something specific is going to happen. What happens if you crash into the sea and the airplane doesn't break apart? What happens?
Well, the first thing to do is open the emergency door as quickly as you can, because if you do it later, like when the water's like above it, like halfway, you won't be able to open it because the water will be gushing in.
I mean, so you don't just sit there looking at the water coming up. Like, do something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and once you get that, put on a life vest.
Ah, life vest.
So you can protect yourself from drowning.
But I think there's also a large floating thing. Because what happens
It's a
is
boat. Like a big inflatable boat.
it's boat-like, but not a boat properly. Yeah, I think it's also used as a slide for getting down.
Yeah,
there.
it's a big slide that helps you get down, or like helps you get up or something.
Or it can be a floating thing in the water. Right.
And then they'll take out these like boats, so you can swim across, swim, and go onto an island or to a nearby city.
Can airplanes go into space?
No,
No? Why not?
no, because they don't have enough oxygen, and also they can't fly that far.
The thing is, the wings wouldn't benefit the airplane in space, now would it? Why not?
Because rockets don't really have wings.
Why don't rockets have wings?
Well, because then the rocket will get tilted or something.
No. Is there air in space or no air?
No.
And wings are necessary for getting lift and also for steering it, okay? And it has to do with air. And in space, there's no air. So, there you go. Wings are useless. That's why rockets don't have wings. Cha-ching. That's... Ah! Right!